Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to go through the best bets of UFC 305. I'm recording this on Friday morning. I just locked in all my bets for the entire card. I'm going to go through and give you just a couple. And let me tell you, boys, before we get into this, I woke up and I saw Israel Adesanya was crying at the press conference. What is going on there? Is Dricus just that good of a trash talker? Like, I don't even think it's trash talk. He just be bringing up stuff and people are like, bawling their eyes out. Strickland did it. Adesanya did it. Like, what is going on? Wild stuff. We'll see how that plays out, but I don't know if I should be scared or happy with my big bet on Dricus du Plessis. That's not going to be in the video, but if you watched the last video, you already know what side I'm on for that. Best bets, man. Let's take a look. Recent history, we're down on the show. Minus 1.2 units. But we have been profitable the last 2 weeks. Profitable 3 out of the last 4 weeks with one very big week. So we may be turning it around. We may be turning this thing around. Steering the ship. So follow if you want. Not up to me. You're going to do whatever you want to do. But I'll give you 3 bets and I'll give you the DFS plays as well. Let's hop into it. I'm taking Walter Walker on the money line. Now hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, this dude looked terrible in his UFC debut, and now he's an underdog at plus 105. And I got 1.5 units on him. And I say hear me out because, number one, there's a lot of advantages in this fight for Walter Walker. And I think that outweighs everything on the Tafa side to where he should not be an underdog. He should at least be a slight favorite. So I think we're getting great value here. Walter Walker, much bigger. 6'6", 81-inch reach. He's not a very great striker, but he has a very good takedown and wrestling game. It looks like he's in a lot better shape than he is on the picture right here. I think he dropped down like 20 or 30 pounds. I expect him to have some better cardio in this fight. And on the Tafa side, bro, Tafa has less professional MMA experience. He's got a lot of kickboxing fights, but this is MMA, and he's going up against a wrestler. I've seen Tafa get taken down by some 40-year-old dude who was like 4-3 with ease. Like just getting taken down and beaten up. He ended up winning that fight, but that's so low level. You look at some of his competition before he got into the UFC, very bad. Walter Walker's really wasn't that great either, but he was undefeated before he came into the UFC. So was Tafa. And then Tafa comes into the UFC, gets ragdolled by Mo Usman. That's not a good look, man. Mo Usman's really bad, and he's not a great wrestler. I think Walter Walker can survive the shots from Tafa early, and if he gets a takedown in the first round, gets him on his back, Tafa can't really build into a fight, man. Like, he just can't. I think Tafa's probably going to be a little bit gun-shy on the feet, doesn't want to overextend, and Walter Walker's going to hit those level changes. And as the underdog, man, I got to take Walter Walker because what's Tafa's win condition? It's probably a KO. It's a KO or, at the very least, landing the more impactful strikes through 3 rounds, which, I don't know, I just don't see. I think Walter Walker gets him down to the ground. As an underdog, I got to play it. Walter Walker, money line, plus 105 for 1.5 units. From there, we move on to the Underdog Fantasy. As you can see on the screen, we've had a lot of success on this app. So if you're in one of these yellow states, download the app. Link down in the description. Use my code HeyJob for a deposit bonus up to $250. And they're giving away some free promos this week, boys. We look at it on the screen here. I'm going to move myself over. They're giving away an Adesanya significant strike at 0.5. That's a free square. And if you're a new user and you use my code HeyJive, you're going to get Tai Tuivasa at 0.5 significant strikes as well. So that's 2 free promos if you just download the app and sign up. Let's get into the plays. We got the 20Xer right here. I was really cooking this one up last night because a lot of times I'll put these plays in earlier in the week and the lines move so much that I can't even put it into the 5-legger. But I think Prates should be able to get a finish. Herbert Burns, lower on significant strikes. He's never gone over that number. Never. Jesus Aguilar has never gone over that number. I'll take it. Dan Hooker, probably going to be getting grappled up for a majority of the fight. Mateusz Gamrot has not his opponents have not gone over this number. And I think every single one of his UFC fights, that was a 3-rounder except for one. I think it was the Beneil Dariush fight. But Beneil Dariush is able to keep the fight on the feet. I don't think Hooker's going to be. But I also think that this fight could end early. I think Hooker could knock him out, and I think Gamrot could find a submission. Tai Tuivasa, higher on significant strikes. This one's going to be sketchy. But I think with Tai coming off 4 losses in a row, he's probably going to want to build into the fight a little bit. Rosenstrike is not a high-paced guy, and I could see Tai Tuivasa landing a ton of leg kicks. And in his combinations, he usually lands like 2 or 3. And I don't think Rosenstrike has some terrible chin. I think this fight could actually get into the second round. But even if it doesn't, in the first round, I think Tai has the ability to put up at least 18 significant strikes. Like, the guy is going to go out there and throw. So I like it. Got this early in the week. Stuart Nickel over 1.5 takedowns. I think it's moved, or at least you're not going to get the same line there, but Stuart Nickel's a wrestler. He's going to get those takedowns. Jack Jenkins lower on significant strikes. I think that fight ends pretty early. Herbert Burns not a guy that gets hit all that often because he's going to want to grapple you, and then once his cardio falls off a cliff, he is a sitting duck. So lower on there. Gamrot lower on significant strikes. He's going to be diving for legs, and he's gone under that number in like every single UFC fight that was 3 rounds, except for his last one against RDA. I don't think that's going to be the case here against Hooker. So lower on Gamrot, higher on Li Jingliang. It's going to be sweaty, but he can land a bunch of leg kicks in this fight. And I think Carlos Prates probably finds a late round 2-3 finish if he does. He's a guy that builds into the fight, and I think the Leech could probably get up to 35-40 through 1.5, 2 rounds. So I think that works for Li Jingliang. Ricardo Ramos, higher on takedowns. This guy is going to have a massive wrestling edge in this one. I don't think not that he can't stand and strike with Culibao, but I think his best path to victory would be to take the guy down and put him through the ringer. And he has shown in his last 2 fights he's willing to do that. He lands 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. I think this fight could go 15 minutes. And I think this fight is going to go into the favor of Ricardo Ramos if he can get those takedowns, which I think he will. He's got a 60% takedown accuracy. So if he goes for him, he gets him. Luana Santos, higher on significant strikes. I think this fight likely goes to a decision. At least it's expected to go to a decision. And Casey O'Neill, very, very hittable. She gets hit with over 6 significant strikes per minute. Luana Santos lands, I think, 5 significant strikes per minute. So it makes sense that this would go over women's MMA overs. It makes sense. We're getting good payouts here. 3x payouts there. This one is a little bit less because Ramos line was favored to go over, and then a big 20xer right there. Hit the link in the description. Download the Underdog Fantasy app. Make sure you get these promos because that's just free money right there. You can pair it up with all these, or you can throw it in a 5-legger. It's up to you. But if you're in one of these yellow states or Canada, except for Ontario, download the app, use the code AJI for a deposit bonus, and lock them in. A parlay. We got a violent parlay here, boys. Sometimes these suck. But I don't see how these fights go to a decision, man. I think Song Kanon could probably find a KO. He's also been knocked out before. He's a very hittable guy. Ricky Glenn does have some power in his hands, and he also does have some submissions in his game. But on the feet, Ricky Glenn really ain't been showing much of a chin, ain't been showing much of a will to be in there. I think most likely Song Kanon finds a KO, and I think these guys are going to go to scrap. So Ricky Glenn, Song Kanon, fight no distance, paired up with Jack Jenkins, Herbert Burns, fight no distance. I don't think Herbert Burns has ever been to a decision in the UFC. That's a fact. He has not been. And most likely this fight ends before the end of the second round. So I like that. Minus 148 for 1.48 units. It's chalk, but I think it hits, man. I think that's a pretty safe parlay. I do. Unless, Song Kanon and Ricky Glenn just look at each other for 15 minutes. I think they find a finish, and the Jenkins-Burns is pretty chalked. So I like it. Minus 148 for 1.48 units. Lock it in. And from there, I will offer to you to join the Home of Fight Picks Premium Discord. And now we are on Dub Club. What is Dub Club? Dub Club is an app where whenever I put a play in, it's going to get sent instantly to your phone. Why is that big? That is big for the DFS plays because those lines tend to move very quickly. So once I put a play in, you get this notification on your phone. Boom, you see the play. You put the play in, you're locked in. It's a beautiful, beautiful setup that we got going on with Dub Club. And we're going to offer you a 20% off your first month with code DC. Code DC. The link is down in the description to join the Homo Fight Picks premium membership. Code DC gets you 20% off your first month. Actually, I think it's $20 off your first month. I think it's $20 off your first month. So little error there, but that's a lot more than 20%. So $20 off your first month. Even better. And on the year, we're positive 28.95 units year to date. Got PFL tonight as well, so lock in for that. We got UFC tomorrow. We got Dana White Contender Series the following week. So a bunch of bets going in. Join the Homo Fight Picks premium membership, and let's make some money. From there, we move on to a round prop. We're taking the fight not to go the distance in the first fight of the night, Jesus Aguilar versus Stuart Nickel. Sitting at plus 105. I think that's great value. That is amazing value. For one, I like taking flyweight unders. Number two, Stuart Nickel making his debut. He is a wrestler, but he is also a very good finisher on the ground. And Jesus Aguilar does love himself some grappling. He loves himself a submission. And I think either way, one of these guys is going to find a finish. Stuart Nickel, great ground and pound, great top control. But he does leave himself out there to be submitted at times based on watching his tape. I mean, he shoots his takedowns, head on the outside. Jesus loves that guillotine. And eventually, Jesus isn't a guy that goes to a decision all that often. And neither is Stuart Nickel. Nickel's only been to one decision in his entire career. Jesus Aguilar is not a guy that goes to a decision. His last fight, he went to a decision. But that was in Mexico City, and I think both guys were just super gassed out. It was a lot of grappling, a lot of, just stalemating stuff. I don't think they really had the gas to get each other out of there. So at plus money here, plus 105, I'm putting one unit on it. It makes sense to me. Fight no distance, Aguilar versus Nickel. Let's go. And from there, we'll go to the better picks, where we also have a lot of success on this app. It's another DFS app. If you're in one of these purple states, hit the link down in the description. Join up. Use the code HAGI for a deposit bonus, and you can put these plays in. Now, I saw this in my app, this Israel Adesanya 0.5 significant strikes promotion. Some people were saying they couldn't see it. I don't know if it was just available to me early or what, or maybe just because I'm an active player on there. But likely, you're going to get Israel Adesanya promotion here at 0.5 significant strikes on the Better Picks app. We already talked about Jenkins, but Jenkins, I think it would be stupid to shoot a takedown in this one. 0.5 takedowns. We're taking the under because I don't think he would be smart at all to shoot any type of takedown in this one. Steve Ursay over on significant strikes. I think that fight probably goes to the distance, and Steve Ursay can rack him up. Kai Kara is going to want to stand and strike. He's not going to want to grapple. I think this is a stand-up battle for probably 15 minutes. Maybe Ursay mixes in some grappling here and there, but there was a good amount of grappling in his fight with Alessandro Costa, and he still landed 74 in that one, so it makes sense to me to take his over there. Herbert Burns lower on significant strikes. Already talked about that. We already talked about the leech. I think Luana Santos can get at least 2 takedowns. Casey O'Neal's not the toughest girl to take down, and Luana Santos has great judo. I think they're going to get into a scrap, and I think Luana is going to need to mix in some type of wrestling there to, slow her down. So I like that. Song Kanon lower on significant strikes. He's not a high-volume guy, and in all reality, he probably finds a knockout where Ricky Glenn has just not looked durable. And here's the 8-legger, $50 to win $5,000. I won't go over those, but take a look. They're a lot of similar to everything I've already explained. So better picks, link down in the description. Join up there. Use the code HAGI for a deposit bonus. Get up to $250 in promo money. And lock these in, and we can make some money. And lastly, I will leave you with the free Telegram channel. The free Telegram channel is where I post all of those DFS plays, as well as some free picks throughout the week. I'll probably give out a free PFL play in there tonight. I got a good amount of bets on PFL tonight, but that's just a free channel where I'll post some plays in there. We can make some money together. It's free. The link for that is down in the description as well. But in all reality, I think your best way to go about it is to join the Homo Fight Picks premium membership, because that's where you're going to get everything first. Everything that is out there. All my bets are in the Humble Fight Picks Premium membership, and that's where I send all the DFS plays first, just to give those guys the benefits of being in there. With that, we can hop out of here. Appreciate you for watching. UFC 305 is going to be great. Good luck to you. Good luck to your bets. Drink is due Plessis and still. I'll see you next time. Hey, Jab Picks. We out.